Dodd, Sam Sherman, someone today is going to teach me how to win the stupid $1 million, I hope.
It's Short King summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's Short King summer.
All right, Mason. First time that you've been here this summer. You drafted a big board with me in the absolute depths of the fantasy football abyss. Got the big board, Max, but we're here. $2 million first place, the flagship contest. We're ignoring what's happening in California. We're ignoring what's happening with DFS taxes. How is the football offseason treating you?
It's been great. Just grinding away every single day. Feel like taking a while to learn how to draft teams since I wasn't grinding the big boards like you, but I feel like I'm hitting my stride right now.
I mean, now's the time to be hitting your stride. I think we are 61 days away, I believe, 60 days away from the start of the NFL season. We have puff pieces coming out. Your favorite rookie hasn't disappointed you yet. Although there's some bear stuff out there. Ty Felton, firmly behind Jalen Naylor as the third wide receiver of the Minnesota Vikings. But you've got, Brashard Smith locked in for a role. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and hop in. What has been, this is number 51. That's nice. What has been your favorite slot on the board to draft from? I'm really enjoying the back half of the board.
Yeah, I think like the common take is pick 11, pick 12, because if you can double tap like Nico, Brian Thomas, Jeanty, Amon-Ra St. Brown, because have you noticed Jeanty slipping to the beginning of the second?
Yes, and it's I am 0% afraid of Ashton Jeanty. I think he is like so obviously locked in for an absurd amount of volume year one. I couldn't be less afraid of a rookie Raiders running back, which is not what the YouTube comments think, Mason. The YouTube comments are not on board.
So I'm very lucky in that I kind of get to see, like with my live streams and like with the comments of like the videos I put out, I can very clearly tell who is somebody that watches YouTube and drafts hundreds of underdog teams all off season. And I can tell who is just a regular person that's going to be in a 10-team league with their ESPN league mates, college buddies, blah, blah, blah. And whenever I started putting out videos after the NFL draft, I could tell that second bucket that's not really going to come in and start drafting teams until July, August, September. They're out on Jeanty. What everybody's telling me is, you remember Bijan's rookie season? Remember Bijan? So I am actually underweight Jeanty because when he was going at 7, 8, 9, I was just slamming CMC there anyway.
I had McCaffrey over him as well. Yeah, same deal.
Exactly. So I'm underweight Jeanty. So I'm so thankful that he has slid down ADP, and I hope that it keeps on happening so I can just catch back up in round 2 or like with picks 11 and 12.
Man, what's going to be even worse is I knew this was going to happen. I knew we were going to be forced with this decision. Yeah. 8.4% Barkley. So I'm right there. I don't love Saquon Barkley as a first round pick. I will say the math on that has changed a little bit, because you feel more comfortable with Rashee Rice at 21. I think you could argue you feel more comfortable with Tyreek Hill, honestly, at 21. Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm feeling a lot better about.
So also my big change that I have here with the early round running backs versus the early round receivers is like I was really overweight Jefferson like a month ago, because when you were looking at like the 4-5 turn, the wide receivers there were less appealing. Yes. But now that Devonta Smith is falling to the 4-5 turn, and Travis Hunter, you get in the 5th round as well, I think. And then also you've seen the mix in the RJ Harvey slide since you've had the Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins selections. Like it's become more heavy wide receiver there when we're going to be up on the clock in like 3 or 4 rounds, where it's easier to make a Barkley or a Bijan start work in comparison to where it was a month or 2 ago.
100%. I mean, it just like was not even that close to me early. If it was like the 2v2 was Justin Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor versus Barkley and T. Higgins. And I was like, man, I think I know which one of those sides I prefer. One thing that obviously is really nice about taking Barkley is you really do not have to take another running back for like a long time. You could like, it frees you up. Sometimes Bowers is even getting to 21 now.
Yeah, I think Rice flips Bowers in ADP in like 2 weeks.
The tenor on Brock Bowers right now really could not be more negative. I saw someone tweeted at me yesterday that they saw Bowers in the 3rd round. They saw Bowers at 28, which is, I mean, if that was actually Brock Bowers' price, I would feel comfortable having him on like a quarter of my teams, I think.
Exactly. I'm underweight Bowers right now just because if you look at in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, but you get to the later portion of the draft and tight ends just straight up outscore wide receivers at certain points. Yeah. So for that reason, I wasn't particularly drafting a ton of Bowers, but now that he's slipping past, because I have Rice at the top of the tier once. I know you have Rice higher than this, but for me personally, I have Rice at the top of the tier once Ladd, AJ Brown are gone, but I still have Bowers ahead of him. And now that I've seen Bowers sliding behind Taylor, sliding behind Rice, I feel like I'm going to be able to catch up with my exposure because I'll take Bowers at pick 19 or after any day of the week.
I think that I feel that a lot of the anti Brock Bowers arguments are totally valid. They just really are, right? He only scored 5 touchdowns last year. The team's not going to be that good. All that. Okay. And he goes at 19 anyways. But a lot of that to me is just I don't know, man. I feel like this is a chance to draft Rob Gronkowski again. And the kids probably don't even remember drafting Rob Gronkowski, but it was a truly magical experience. All right. We're on the clock. Rashee Rice goes. We could do really any of these guys.
So if we go wide receiver, I want Tyreek. If we go running back, I'm good with either Taylor or Bucky. So whatever you're up for.
So I actually don't really care which running back gets back to us. I think there's probably going to be a running back we're fine clicking. And structurally doing the running back start, it just it doesn't feel that good, right? You're sitting there and you're like, man, if Ricky Pearsall is not good this season, this team is not advancing, which is just not that fun of a spot. And I mean, I don't think that the Jonnu Smith being traded should impact Tyreek's projection that much, but at least to me, what it says is at least the Dolphins are more confident that he's going to be available, that he's not going to, that he's healthy, that he's not going to get traded.
I was already team Tyreek out of any wide receiver in this range. I was already, at 14% Tyreek in comparison to all the other wide receivers. I'm slightly underweight just because I've been taking Tyreek instead. So that's
because you're a real man. You don't play scared. You're not going to win playing scared in these tournaments, and there is no more obvious risk reward pick than Tyreek Hill.
So here's my take. I think people get wrong doing these drafts a lot. Is that people think oh, you have to be lucky in week 15, you have to be lucky in week 16, blah, blah. You have to be lucky in week 17, 16, 15, weeks 1 through 14, and in the draft. So I'm always team oh, I have Chase and Higgins. Of course I'm going to push Burrow to pick 72 because if I want to win $2 million, of course I have to get lucky no matter what,
100%.
JSN's my wide receiver here, but I don't care outside of that.
All right, I'm pretty light on JSN, and normally when I take him, it is on the other side of the board. I'm normally waiting to try and get him at 35, 36. JSN and half PPR, not that big of a Darnold believer, but Darnold, I mean, I think has proved a lot of people wrong a lot of the time. When people expect him to be bad, he's good. When people expect him to be good, he's bad. Probably the biggest thing is Clint Kubiak, though. I mean, he was such a good play caller until everyone in New Orleans died.
I don't think that Darnold is a good real life quarterback, but if you look at just pure volume projections throwing the football, he projects much better than Justin Fields. He projects, at least Underdog Pick'ems, take this for what you will, have him better than Kyler Murray this year in passing yards, passing touchdowns. Obviously, Stafford's projections are going to be higher, but Devontae Adams, the clear wide receiver 2 there. So if you're looking at the quarterbacks for the wide receivers in round 3, we did this on the live stream the other day. Darnold's the worst real life quarterback, but since he's not going to run the ball and Kyler will, Fields will, the passing volume that Darnold projects for isn't really the worse than Kyler, and it's a lot better than Fields.
No, I mean, I think that honestly, I think that is pretty self-evident. Darnold is a good thrower. He just struggles with decision making, so it's a matter of how much his coaches let him throw. Yeah. And if he gets, 517 pass attempts this season, I mean, there's a non-zero chance JSN leads football in receptions. I wouldn't say it's particularly high. And we only have so much of a sample of JSN playing in the NFL. Half of that sample was him playing in like a suboptimal situation, playing through a broken wrist. 4 years ago, actually, now JSN was like the wide receiver prospect. Like,
I mean, yeah, you just go through and look at it. JSN back at Ohio State outproduced Garrett Wilson when Garrett Wilson was a junior. He outproduced Chris Olave when Olave was a senior, and JSN was a sophomore that year, all in the same roster.
Yeah.
So he was an elite prospect from my eyes. Great breakout year 2. If you look at the context of the board, Tyreek all offseason's been going in round 3. JSN all offseason's been going in round 3. So in terms of Tyreek JSN combos, I think it's going to be pretty unique. And at the same time, I don't think we have to worry about somebody getting Tyreek late round 3, JSN early round 4. I don't think that ever exists. So I think it makes sense with the context of the board. And what the hell's going on with Josh Allen not off the board yet?
I don't know. That's been one of my biggest changes in like thinking about this stuff is the last like 10 days. I've been really wanting to get more of the elite quarterbacks,
especially
like
because the bum quarterbacks later on now actually cost something.
Yeah, the 3 quarterback meta, it's taking over the internet. It's all anyone wants. It's like, you want Jackson Dart? Well, you don't wait until round 18 to get Jackson Dart. You're not getting Tyler Shuck as a faller. It's not happening anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I actually did a stream yesterday where I always do like 3 drafts a stream, and every single draft I went my 3rd round pick, took an elite QB. Like, I think one thing that's very interesting is if you are the Chase team or if you're the team at 2 of reaching on Allen, reaching on Lamar, knowing that they're never going to be there at 47 or 48, and knowing that it'll be a unique combo, and there's a non-0% chance that Josh Allen's just a much better pick than Marvin Harrison this year. So you could possibly have the best player on the board anyway at that point, and a unique pick at the same time.
I haven't done it yet. We're on the clock. Tet, Kittle, Moore.
I'm good with any of those players.
All right. This is the more unique one. We got Tet over on the other side of the board, and that is that's like a huge luxury of taking Barkley or Bijan or whoever is. Although Amari and Hampton could theoretically fall to us with our next pick. That is getting Ted on that side of the board is actually really nice. Are you in on Bryce as like
I think Bryce is bad,
quarterback? But yeah, he probably is.
Yeah, but Ted's an elite wide receiver prospect. If you look at market share numbers, just absolutely crazy.
If you're doing projections, I think you could get Tet up to like a 29% target share. Probably. Like Thielen, I guess when he's active will be he's probably more like a 23, 24 guy, but like Liget and Coker, these are like, Liget could do a sub 10% target share and
Coker could be a straight up 0 as well. Coker may not even make the team.
Hunter Renfrow, my man holding the grapes. They're discounting him because he had an autoimmune disorder. I'm hoping that Jodas here does not take Amari and Hampton.
Yeah, Hampton would be an auto pick if he makes it.
That would be nice. I also do really like Pickens. I think this is going to be the worst. This is the worst user experience. Yeah, it's always there. I really like Pickens, but I'm open to whatever here.
If you like Pickens, let's go Pickens. I don't think there'll be a ton of Pickens, and actually, I prefer Sutton personally, but it's up to you.
All right, we're gonna do Tua. We're gonna do Pickens to give us a quarterback that doesn't suck. Actually, as a primary stack, I do that. I guess Bo Nix doesn't suck either, but I don't love only having the poo-poo platter options for your stack. We had Bryce, Tua, and Darnold as our options there. I guess in a 3 quarterback build, it's probably fine, but that quarterback window in rounds 8, 9, and 10. I think you do want at least one of those guys there. Why Sutton? What do you like about Sutton?
It's more of a anti-Pickens thing. One, I think Sutton can have a ridiculous target share in Denver with a similar, obviously I think Dak probably projects out a little bit better as a passer with the volume, but I don't think there's a massive difference. With Pickens, I know it can be a concentrated target share in Dallas, but I still think that CeeDee Lamb can get to a 30% team target share easily. And Pickens, the highest he's ever finished is wide receiver 35. If you're looking at points per game. And now
that's actually crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah. Here's something here. if you don't mind, selfless plug. Let me show you a
I
couple
do
things
not
that we just put out on the site that will actually be very easy if you're ever like. Can I share my screen here? Oh, I forgot I'm a StreamYard. I can do it this way.
You sure can. No, shameless plugs are not only allowed here; they're like actually encouraged. This is like what this channel is all about.
So this is completely free. You can pull this up on our site whenever you want. And it's like super easy to actually like just search a player and get all relevant stats for him quickly, right? So like you
Just
can
the
go
comparison tab.
there's a player comparison as well we just dropped. So you can go and look like career averages for George Pickens, quickly see points per game, quickly see his fantasy rank, yards per route run, his target share. You can go and look at the player comparison, right? You can pull up, this just dropped, and this is all free too. So if you ever want to look at this in a live stream, I would absolutely love for you to. But like you can go through and like pull up Pickens.
I just bookmarked it, brother.
And we can also like with this, you can change a time frame where you want to look at them over the past 2 years, or you say, oh, Sutton's 2023 may not be relevant. So I want to look at Pickens over the past 2 years. However, I only want to look at Sutton's 2024 season. So you can actually look at different time frames, or you could go through and say like, oh, Bo Nix broke out in the second half of the year. So for Sutton, I only want to look at the final 9 weeks, and then it will actually show you all the relevant stats next to each other, where you can see Sutton over the last 9 weeks averaged 17.6 fantasy points per game in comparison to Pickens at 12 points per game over the past 2 years. Yards per route run, relatively similar, but Sutton up at a 27.5% team target share. You can go through and add pretty much any statistic you want. You can add targets per snap. You can add fantasy points per target, targets in the red zone, receptions in the red zone, targets inside the 5-yard line, targets inside the 10-yard line. And you can change this for any time frame you want. So
beautiful. People can get that at flockfantasy.com.
Yes, flockfantasy.com. It's completely free. But if you ever wanted to like, if I can reference like, oh, George Pickens the highest he ever finished, is just because I'm on my other window and I just go to the rankings page real quick and I type in George Pickens, you know. I prefer Godwin here, but I'm fine with Connor if you want him.
Well, just looking at the queue, it makes way more sense to take the wide receiver there because there's going to be a running back coming back around. All right, there we go. We have a new tool to use. I am using these tools all the time, many of which I have no affiliate deal with, which is probably bad business by me. But there we go. There's another one. We'll be pulling that up. It's just very nice to be able to immediately pull up anything to support whatever you're arguing at the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll take any side of an argument just to have a good day. But we now have Saquon Barkley, Tyreek Hill, JSN, Ted McMillan, George Pickens, Chris Godwin. That gave us another quarterback who is not a bum, who's like pretty live to be available to us at 93, which I like. And there's, I don't know how you feel about the rookie running backs, but there's probably going to be a running back we like here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of Judkins at this pick. I mean, offense is horrible, but I think he's a great running back prospect if you're looking at the athletic profile. And also, I know that obviously he didn't have a massive receiving workload at Ohio State, but you go back to him as a true freshman, and he actually was used as a receiver a ton as a true freshman. I think it was just more he was running alongside Henderson.
He was a true workhorse when he was at Ole Miss. Like actually, his best season was his freshman season. His Ohio State stuff is a little bit weird. He struggled with the broken tackles. I do think that Ohio State running back stuff can be weird in terms of how they appear in the advanced data because they're steamrolling so many teams. And like Judkins, weirdly, I actually think Judkins' style probably is going to work for a bad Browns team because he's just going to be like, yeah, I would absolutely love to break 7 tackles to get 10 yards on this run. That like fills me with absolute joy. I like Kaleb Johnson a little better just because I think he is actually, other than Jeanty, I think of the rookie running backs, he's like the most likely one to run into 240 touches, like maybe more. Jaylen Warren is obviously better and more annoying than Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford. I don't know. I've actually gone back and forth on that one.
I'm more excited. Like I was strongly Judkins over Kaleb Johnson before Rodgers signed, But now that Rodgers is in Green Bay, not Green Bay, in Pittsburgh, I think you probably have more red zone opportunities for Kaleb Johnson than you would have with Mason Rudolph. So I'm completely fine with Kaleb Johnson now over Judkins, if that's your cup of tea.
This guy just got RJ Harvey and Kaleb Johnson together. Are you in on RJ Harvey in the Denver Broncos backfield?
At this price point, I'm completely fine with it. I prefer Trevion Henderson. Like, I think Henderson at pick 68 is phenomenal for the team that got him there.
You Drake May guy?
So my thing is, like, if you look at all the sportsbook stuff, they're all telling us that Drake May is great, but I think Diggs is probably dust, and I think Kyle Williams is probably bad. So it's like, I want some exposure for the Patriots offense, but it's like kind of hard to get it outside of going with Trevion Henderson and like Hunter Henry, Demario Douglas for me.
Man, I tell you what, the Kyle Williams, like coming out of absolute nowhere to be a second round pick, one of the most stunning things. I mean, like when prospecting season started in like February, like I people just did not know who this guy was.
Was he a second rounder or was he a third rounder?
Wasn't he like the 63rd pick or something like that? Maybe I'm pretty sure he was a second rounder, but we are going to find this out.
He was the 305.
There you go. The 305.
Yeah. The 63rd pick, second round, 5th pick, and 3rd round. Not a big difference.
I don't know, man. The Diggs people, there's good people on both sides. If you made me bet it at -110, I would bet Diggs is probably dust. But you never. I mean, Diggs was kind of dusty last year.
So the thing with Diggs, which is funny, is we go back last offseason, nobody wanted him, and the Texans kind of signed him as like a borderline wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in their offense. And then now he's another year older coming off a torn ACL. And now we want to like act like it's different than how we treated him last offseason. Like, I was in on Diggs last offseason. I thought we were going to crush after week 1, even though he had like 30 yards. Just got lucky with a couple touchdowns.
He did. I was going to say, didn't he throw a touchdown at some point or like got like a weird rushing one?
The week 1, I think it was like a week he had like 2 very gimmicky touchdowns off of like 30 receiving yards or something. But it seems like
that was week 1. I do remember. I remember he had like 11 intended air yards in a 2 touchdown game. All right, we're up in 1 pick. Do you want to do quarterback here? Do you want to take a tight end? I'm really open to whatever.
The teams behind us have Bucky, and that's about it, right? Do you think we are at risk of somebody taking Baker on the Bucky team?
This guy does not have a quarterback yet. It's like it's probably marginal either way. Honestly.
I would be down for Hawkinson. It opens the door for McCarthy, and we probably get Baker on the way back around regardless.
Yeah, because we've got one Burrow team behind us. There's the one hole probably should not.
And Egbuka's on the other side of the board. Mike Evans is on the other side of the board. We're the Godwin team. So, and Baker doesn't have rushing upside, so you're not going to see him go unstack like Jalen Hurts, Lamar.
Someone out there is like a huge Jalen McMillan, Kate Otten truther. I don't want to meet that person, but there is someone out there who's doing it. Oh no, this guy the old auto draft Keon Coleman.
Can I show you something funny? I pulled this up on the live stream a couple days ago whenever this tool just dropped and we were just looking at like year 2 wide receivers. And I thought that we were pulling in like the incorrect stats until like I had to go to the rankings page and double check. But have you seen Rome Odunze, Keon Coleman compared next to each other their rookie season?
Oh, I bet they're super similar. Keon Coleman better than you remember. Rome Odunze per route, because his one good game came in a game where the Bears ran, I think, 94 plays, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's not surprising to me.
Yeah, same points per game. Keon Coleman, better from a per route perspective, better from a per target perspective. He didn't run as many routes a game. He only ran 23. He also got injured and was in the doghouse.
Yep.
But like, wouldn't it be... And if you go back and look at these wide receivers coming out, Keon Coleman was a young prospect that people said needed time to develop. Rome stayed 4 years in school that was supposed to be ready immediately. Like, I wasn't particularly on Keon, but after like seeing that, I am...
You good with Baker here?
Yeah, I think Baker's an auto pick here.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really like. Well, it's very funny. I didn't really like Keon as a prospect. I was hoping. I just really did not want the Chiefs to take him. I knew the Chiefs really wanted a wide receiver, and just the whole time I was like, just anyone but Keon Coleman. He actually, to be totally fair, he played better than I thought he was going to play as a rookie. I think he actually even did better yards per route run than Worthy. Now, depending on how granular you would like to get with that statistic, he did score a 70-yard touchdown in a game where he ran a limited number of routes because a defender lost his footing. He was literally uncovered. And that stuff does
I
matter.
like Worthy so much in round 4 that I make excuses. And what I've done before in a video, that's just in a live stream, maybe more so as a joke, is I've added Worthy's rushing yards and gone like, oh, total yards per route run, you know.
You should, you should,
Yeah.
shouldn't you? Like those are designed plays to a certain degree. I mean, I think Worthy's like actually probably my favorite player in the NFL. Anyone extrapolating what he did last year for like a diseased, sick, cancerous Chiefs offense and being like, well, that is the best he could possibly play is so not seeing the forest for the trees. I mean, Mahomes missed him on a minimum of 5 touchdowns. Like, just straight up missed him.
We have like a 5-season sample of Mahomes for 5 years with over 300 passing yards per game. I think now that you have Worthy in year 2, a healthy Rice, and a healthy Hollywood, I would not be surprised whatsoever if we get a 300 passing yard per game season and 2.5 passing touchdowns per game from Mahomes again. Like, he did it for 5 years straight. You know, over the past 2 years, obviously the volume's been down. But I don't know how much of that's due to personnel and just how good their defense was.
It's not all volume being down. It's actually the average depth of target scaling down. Part of that is no reliable deep threat on the team. Right? I mean, it turns out losing probably the most valuable wide receiver in the NFL, and then Travis Kelce just like losing his edge. Like Kelce basically is still a good route runner and can still get open, but he can't add yak anymore. So that totally changes the way the offense works. And the left side of their offensive line last year was totally basically didn't work, right? They're chopping and changing it. You have to move your center to left tackle. And I mean, Matt Nagy is the discrepancy with Matt Nagy calling the plays versus Bieniemy is pretty big. Matt Nagy's still the offensive coordinator, but I'm coming out of my shell and getting a little bit more bullish, assuming that all these wide receivers, stay healthy in the preseason. Cause I kind of thought Hollywood was going to be the straw that stirred the drink. And then he played 3 games all year.
Yeah. I was adamantly anti-Hollywood at his cost last year, but this season I'm in. Like, with where he goes in comparison to, like, it's hard to go wide receiver in the range that Hollywood gets drafted just because there are so many viable tight ends. But if you have to take a wide receiver, I think he's a strong pick with where he goes.
All right. Charbonnet, Ramondre.
If we want Dak to pair up with Pickens, we got to take him here, or the Lamb team gets him.
Yeah. I'm cool with Dak. I don't have a strong opinion about any of these running backs. We could take.
If you don't have a strong opinion, we're going to get one on the way back. So
right,
I vote just go Dak.
Let's do Dak and check the bye weeks. I don't have the bye weeks memorized, so I always have to check because there's nothing worse than having 2 quarterbacks that should set themselves up as just a 2 quarterback team and realizing that you have to take a third to cover the bye week.
Let me pull up the math. Are we sure we want to go with only 2 QBs in a build where we go QB round 9, QB round 10?
I'm always open to a third quarterback. I mean, the Pat Crane and his friends over at Legendary Upside, they built a sim to run some tests on the 2025 NFL season. And one of the things they found was like McCarthy went. That's brutal. That like the easiest way to add points to the base of your roster is to draft a third quarterback effectively.
I just pulled it up historically over the past 4 years. 3 QB builds that go QB 1 in round 9, QB 2 in round 10. Have a higher playoff, semifinals, and finals rates.
All right. I'm sold. Do you want to take a running back here? You want to take Mims? You want?
I wouldn't mind Ramondre. I think Ramondre actually may make sense pairing up with somebody like Judkins, given the fact that we can get early season production from Ramondre, contingent upside if anything happens to Henderson, and kind of cover our bases early in the season if Judkins doesn't come on till later.
So I like taking Ramondre there because it totally frees you up to do something irresponsible at running back later. You could do, you could do a Jaden Blue, you could do a Brashard Smith, you could do, or you more responsible, but cheapers. Like you could do like Jarquez Hunter, Blake Corum, like one of Algier, just one of the pure RB2 types.
What's your take on the Dallas running backs?
You're probably not going to like it. I think they're all bad in their own way. Javonte, like least efficient. I believe the stat is Javonte broke 16 tackles for the entirety of last year on 150 rushes. Sanders is just slow, inefficient, best on passing downs. The only guy who owns an elite skill set on the team is Jaden Blue, and because he ran a 4.28 at his pro day. I don't think Jaden Blue is like a great player, but I think Jaden Blue is like, if any of them is going to really matter for fantasy, it's going to be Blue.
So I made a video like a month ago while still in California, like of my least owned players by position, and Jaden Blue was like maybe my second least drafted running back, but that was before Chubb and Dobbins both signed
elsewhere.
They both signed, and then Jaden Blue dropped like 3 or 4 rounds because the Miles Sanders blurb. And now I think he's a completely fine pick.
Everyone loves Miles Sanders now, Mason.
Yeah.
They love him. They can't get enough of Miles Sanders.
Yeah. So I'm with you now on Jaden Blue, where I think he's a completely fine price because like the Dallas running backs, both Javonte and Blue, got cheaper because the Miles Sanders blurb, when in reality, I think they probably should have got more expensive with Chubb and Dobbins signing.
Yeah. The primary concern I have with the Cowboys backfield is that it's just running back the Denver Broncos backfield from last year, where they're just all useless. They're like, there's 22. In fact, this is a crazy stat. The last 2 years, so since Sean Payton has been the coach in Denver, they have led the backfield. The Broncos lead the NFL in receptions to running backs. Should be fantasy bonanza. That and they're all useless. Every last one, just because of how they chop and change them. But I mean, if you give me Jaden Blue he ends up averaging 7.5 rushes per game and 3.5 receptions per game, like never even like really starts or breaks out, I still think at this price it's like close to fine.
Yeah.
With like upside for more. I guess they could trade for ETN, just would not be great, obviously.
And as a quick side note, I know we were talking about the elite quarterbacks earlier. They are so much better. Like taking Allen or Lamar in round 3. Now that we are seeing people take Bryce Young at pick 130,
Michael Penix at 134.
Yeah. It's just like it's flipped where the elite quarterbacks may be worth it now.
I completely agree. Actually, I think the corresponding price increases of the quarterback 3s has made the quarterback 1s go from like tricky value propositions, but obviously elite ceiling, to like, well, there's an argument you'd prefer the 2v2 side with the expensive quarterback.
Oh,
like
for sure.
Like, I don't know, Trevor Lawrence and J-Mo versus Jaden Daniels and Rachaad White. Like, I don't think I know which side I like there.
Yeah. I'm overweight Spears. I'm completely good to take Spears here. I'm good to take Hollywood here. I'm good to take Goddard here. Good to take Ferguson here.
I wonder. Okay, there's not an obvious quarterback for us to pick here, so I think you're probably right.
I mean, we have some of those bum options where we can get quarterbacks at the very end, and also we whiff on a quarterback 3. It's not the end of the world having Baker. It's not the end of the world. Team's not ruined.
I don't have a ton of Tyjae Spears. Looks like I have 2.5%, so I will do a little bit more. It's actually not that I dislike Spears at all. I think his profile is pretty good, and it's nice when you have the rookie running back earlier. It's just that Guerrero, Blue, and Tank Bigsby are some of my favorite clicks in the pool. Guerrero in particular.
My thing with Spears is I think realistically he has the shot to be the lead back in Tennessee this year. Like if you remember last year, the price between him and Pollard was like razor thin. Like people were treating it as if it was a coin flip. And now Pollard's another year older, coming off an inefficient season. Spears has proven that he can be a pass catcher, and now Spears is much cheaper because people have realized, like, yeah, of course, we should have known last year based off the contract Pollard got that he was the guaranteed starter. But I think now that a year's gone by, I don't know. I don't know if like Spears is guaranteed to be a backup with no usable weeks with the healthy Pollard.
No, I think they probably, I mean, all of last season, they were saying, well, yeah, it's a 50-50. You know, we'll run when Spears is on the field. We'll throw when Pollard's on the field. I mean, I think Pollard's probably a better player, but also he basically couldn't practice last year with a knee injury. It would just be, he'd be a game time decision every week. He would like get in a limited practice on Friday. Spears is 4 years younger than him, I believe. And, doesn't seem to be showing any ill effects of like not having an ACL, right? which is the thing with him for a while. We're up in one pick. I like Blue, Ferguson with Dak.
So if you wanted a third quarterback, Tua is the pick here with Tyreek. I don't know if we get him on the way back around. If not, we can go Ferguson with Dak. If not, we can go Blue. I'm fine with whatever you want.
Let's check if the Waddle team is done at quarterback.
The Waddle team's on the other side of us.
Waddle team's at the other side.
So I think we'd be worried about the H-hand team.
Let's do Tua. Let's do Tua. Let's get our third quarterback. You know, let's bend the knee to the meta. It's the correct way. And I actually talk about another player that I've gone full circle on. It's like if I think that Tyreek is probably a good value, if I think A-Chain's a good value, if I think that Waddle is a good value and that the Dolphins can more closely approximate their 2023 offense, then Tua is like a mega screaming value at quarterback 22.
Yeah, I mean, here he goes in the same round as Sam Darnold and Geno Smith, Cam Ward, Stafford. So,
yeah. What have you drafted Darren Waller yet?
I took him. So I was in a slow German Shepherd draft, the contest that ended a while ago. And I was like, oh, round 17 of this German Shepherd, Darren Waller was probably drafted zero drafts here. I'm going to mix him in and I'll have him at like 0.01% ownership in this tournament. Any tournaments that get open going into the future, I don't know how interested I'll be in just because he'll be drafted close to 100% of them. BBM obviously is interesting given the fact that like 25 or so percent of the field.
Yeah, undrafted and 25%.
Yeah. So I'm completely fine mixing him in around 17, 18 onto a team.
I mean, obviously Waller is probably like so much closer to being a 0 than not, but the season where he matters, he like really matters. You know what I'm saying? Like if Darren Waller has anything left in the tank and is actually able to run like 75% of the routes for the Dolphins, I mean, he probably won't, but he is at least a player that like has demonstrated an ability to score double-digit touchdowns in a season.
If he's relevant as a pass catcher. He's not relevant as a blocker.
Not relevant as a blocker.
Yeah, that's not why they signed him. They signed him as if he's going to do anything, it will be to go out there and catch a little gimmicky ball 5 to 10 yards from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, no, he said what he was doing that podcast, and he said they ran 3 straight runs when he was a Giant. They asked him to basically block as a fullback, and he said in the huddle he was looking up at the moon, contemplating retirement because he hated blocking so much. So I'm not anticipating them doing that. Now, obviously, the super cautionary case there would be the last time a superstar player signed up as a pass catcher for the Miami Dolphins, and I believe Odell Beckham had 6 receptions last year and was just like totally irrelevant. So,
oh, by the way, I think Quentin Johnston's the best pick on the board. If you
the chat is telling me we could talk about that after.
If he would have made it, we would have snagged him. But here he goes.
I don't have a strong pushback on it. So I'm curious to hear the logic. We could take another tight end here. There's not a running back that is like absolutely calling our name. What do you think?
You like Bash, right? I'm fine taking Jack Bash here if you like him.
I do really like Jack Bash. I'm always open to listening. My ears, I always want to hear about what the beat writers are saying. I'm not particularly convinced that a guy who ran like 25% of the routes a game at Tennessee is going to play over a guy who outproduced, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. and Trey Palmer in a season when he was a true freshman. All right, give me the QJ pitch.
All right, let me just start sharing my. I'll wait to share my screen until after
we can make this pick. Okay,
make our pick. But let me pull up all the other wide receivers that he goes around, and let me give you a little pitch on him.
I'm I think it could totally be a case of people being over biased to how bad he was as a rookie and just not caring about the product on the field, and maybe a little bit of being tossed off the scent by them drafting Trey Harris, like overrating Trey Harris. That could definitely be part of it. Do you want to take a running back, a tight end, another wide receiver?
I don't care. Like, we have Baker for McMillan if you wanted to go that way.
Let's do that. Let's do a double. I've got like none of him. That's a nice way to get it. And we could maybe even be done at 7 on this one. All right, give me the we'll pull your screen up. Give me the pitch. I'm all ears. I'd love to want to draft a wide receiver in the 14th round.
So the pitch is that he's drafted as like what, wide receiver 65?
Yes.
As
correct.
a year 2 wide receiver last year, he finishes as wide receiver 41. How many opportunities would you ever get to draft a wide receiver going into year 3 at a significantly cheaper cost than where he finished at last season, with no noticeable like situation that got much worse? Like, you go through, and from a best ball perspective, he gives you a bunch of usable weeks. The advanced analytics don't look that bad. Over a 20% team target share. These are the wide receivers he goes around. Keep in mind. Look at his target share compared to everybody else here. Look at his yards per route run, 1.9. Look at his quarterback play. I don't think the passing volume is going to be worse in Los Angeles than it was last season. So and here's another take that I have. Obviously, everybody brings up that the drops are the problem, blah, blah, blah. For me, when I'm drafting in fantasy football, I would rather draft a wide receiver that was good enough to generate a target and drop it than somebody who never got open to generate a target in the first place. And it's not that I'm arguing that drops are a good thing, but I think we all remember when the TV screen's on and a player drops the ball and we can just go like, ha ha, look at that loser. Look at how bad he is. But you don't remember when the wide receiver went out there, ran a route, didn't get open in the first place, and never got the ball thrown his way. So Quentin Johnston, if you just look at the actual production that he has given you last season in comparison to any other wide receiver that he goes alongside, he's a much better option, probably much younger at the same time. And I'm just naturally going to assume that the player going from year 2 to year 3 is not getting worse.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty convincing, because a lot of what that sounds like to me is very similar to arguments to 2 other guys I really like, Dontavian Wicks and A.D. Mitchell, who are big concentration. Like, that's their whole thing. Like, Wicks just can't concentrate long enough to actually bring the ball in. Dontavian Wicks actually led the Packers in target last year, something that is factually true, if not spiritually true. Yeah, it's actually true. 76 for him, 75 for Tucker Kraft. It's true, and probably shouldn't be. I think you sold me. And your argument, pretty well reasoned, pretty logical. But what I like more about it is that I did not really like Trey Harris as a prospect, and I've kind of been taking
I'm off on Harris. I think Quentin Johnston outscores Harris this year.
I mean, that's probably what like Jim Harbaugh would tell you. That's probably what Greg Roman would tell you. They'd say Trey Harris, he's got to earn his stripes, which is kind of the way it goes. All right, do you want to take Cotton with our quarterback? Do you want to take Juwan Johnson? Set up? Oh, I guess we don't have to set up a third quarterback. What are you thinking?
We're just a tight end. We're 2 tight ends and a running back. I'm fine with K-Dot in that case.
Cool. We have a 3-4-7-1 with Barkley, Judkins, Ramondre.
Yeah. So we need 2 tight ends
Spears.
and we need 1 running back, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Are you? Do you do a lot of 3 quarterback and 3 tight end builds?
This year, yes. In years past, maybe not so much. But I actually was taking a lot of McBride about a month ago, and I had to just make myself stop because it's almost the same issue. I look at McBride in comparison to the wide receivers he goes around. Like, I think McBride can outscore Garrett Wilson very easily this year, but because there are so many other tight ends on the board that I can kind of say the same thing for, I've made myself stop taking Trey McBride. And whenever I don't get one of those elite tight ends, McBride, Kittle, Bowers, because I like the tight ends later in comparison to the receivers, I do naturally just take 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, this has been one of Hayden's things for a while, which is just that you get into this range of the draft and like Brenton Strange projects for so many more points than De'Ami Brown or Dante Thornton or Demario Douglas. Is just kind of no chance. No chance to get Brashard Smith.
So
sad.
Let me know the Chiefs backfield breakdown.
Pacheco is going to start. Kareem Hunt is like the break glass in case of emergency. Eli Mitchell is the wild card. Like if they would love for Eli Mitchell to be healthy and for him to be a weapon. And then, I mean, they just hope that Brashard Smith can be McKinnon. They hope that he can do what P. Ryan did last year, but have some juice on that. And then there's actually, let's do.
I like Justice Hill and best ball, to be honest.
I got no
maybe I'm just wish casting him to take points away from Derrick Henry, but I have a lot more Justice Hill than I do Derrick Henry.
I also have more Justice Hill than I do a Derrick Henry because it's not hard to be more than like 2% of a guy. Yeah, I think by like week 8, they would love for Brashard Smith to be able to play, 29% of the offensive snaps, but for those to be all like plays where it's a chance for him to get the ball. Very, very McKinnon-y. Kind of like I would view it in your head as a hybrid of like what McCole Hardman did at the end and of what McKinnon was doing because he was a wide receiver at SMU. The early reports, Adam Tyker just had a blurb. Schefter published a piece today on ESPN that was the standout player from all 32 mandatory mini camps, and the Adam Tyker, who's the Chiefs beat writer, submitted Brashard Smith as the standout player from Chiefs mandatory mini camp. Because he was just awesome. They played him at slot wide receiver, kick returner, running back, and he did great on. So
I need to start drafting him instead of Kareem Hunt. So what you're telling me?
Kareem Hunt is Kareem Hunt. Like if Isaiah Pacheco rolled his ankle in training camp, Kareem Hunt would be the starting running back. How long would he be the starting? Kareem Hunt, 0 explosive runs last year. No runs over 20 yards.
He's not
last
good.
Year. And it's like, well, that works when you're winning games and the defense is good. But if they have any kind of defensive drop off or anything this year, like even I think Andy Reid and Matt Nagy are not stubborn enough to play. I mean, maybe they would be stubborn, but I don't know. You can definitely frankly, I think you can draft all of them. My priority order of them would be Pacheco top priority, Brashard Smith 2, Hunt 3. Mitchell
would Mitchell like are they all 4 guaranteed spots on the team or is Mitchell fighting for a spot?
It sounds like Smith is going to make the team as the kick returner. The NFL changed the kick return rules again to encourage it even more for kick returns to happen. Like I think the percentage last year was, I want to say 35% were returned last year. And the thing I heard from the league was that they want to get it up to 40% or higher because it's an action play. So teams are really emphasizing it.
So Elijah Mitchell would be the guy that if somebody doesn't make the team, it's him.
That's my guess. That is my guess on July 3rd. All right, we
need a tight end. Terrence Ferguson's the guy I typically like here, but he just went. So whatever tight end you want, I do not care.
Dallas, Miami. There's not really anyone here. Sure, let's do Theo John. Let's make sure Waller hasn't been picked. You know what? Oh, he got picked. Yeah, he got picked. I was about to take Waller. All right, Theo Johnson, whatever. That's fine.
I like the squad. I think it's a good team.
I think this is pretty good too. We got Baker Mayfield, Dak, and Tua, Barkley, Judkins, Ramondre, Spears, Hill. Could have maybe, you know what? I would, if we did this one again, I'd swap out one of the standalone value guys for a young guy, like Spears for Garendo, Ramondre, or like something like that.
Yeah.
Reek, JSN, Tet, Pickens, Godwin, Besh, McMillan, Hawkinson, Otten, Theo Johnson. It's a pretty good team.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. I do not think Hunt's the odd man out. The most recent 2 reports make it sound like Hunt is like locked in for sure. The running back too. So I think you have that one correct. I don't think there's like Hunt is not going to get cut.
Okay, that's good. That's good news for me. That's all I needed to hear.
You can't bring a guy like Kareem Hunt in for $1.5 million and be like, yeah, well, you might not make the team. Like Mitchell is the one who is like, I mean, Mitchell hasn't played in the NFL in 2 years, like he's, and his contract is big, incentives based right now as well.
Oh, good to know.
All right, Mason. Tell the people how they can continue to engage with Flock Fantasy. Who's your most drafted player right now?
Quentin Johnston, 20%.
Quentin Johnston.
Yeah,
That's incredible. All
so
right,
I told you best pick on the board. And then
I gotta get a bag.
I've round 18. I don't really want to like talk about my round 18 guys too much, just because I don't want other people scrolling down taking the same players. And also,
Valid.
I'm horrible at drafting round 18 guys. Like I had 0% Puka the year that he broke out, 0% Kyron. So like the 1 year that round 18 mattered, I whiffed harder than anybody could ever whiff, you know? So I'm not including the round 18 players I've been taking, like the players of relevance. Quentin Johnston's the most drafted.
Wow. I mean, I respect it. That's like, I don't change my mind about things based on other people's opinions all that often, but it's pretty clear. I don't really think you can beat it.
Yeah. I just think that like it's almost the same thing as like 2022 Jacobs. It's the cool things to absolutely hate on a player and everybody to agree and sound smart of, hey, we all know this guy's a bum, right?
God,
He's a bum. Don't touch him. Don't ever touch him. Don't ever consider it, or you're going to get laughed off the face of the planet. I think that's Quentin Johnston this year. And it was the same thing last year. Last year we drafted a ton of them, and he actually, like, which is funny because last year he finished like wide receiver 49 or something, but he had multiple usable weeks with 2 receiving touchdowns. And it was like,
I was going to say, he super smashed like twice.
He was getting drafted like wide receiver 70. And he was like one of my most drafted players and smashed at that cost, but nobody, like, it didn't matter in regular redraft leagues. Of course, it's only a best ball thing.
I mean, you could have gotten away with him. I guess it would have been hard to decide when to start him. But yeah, Mason, thank you very much for your time, man. I really appreciate you coming on and hanging out. I hope we drafted a shipper here. There's almost no one I would rather split $2 million American dollars with.
I'll send the PayPal over, and I'm looking forward to getting a collection in early January.
Oh no, you're getting paid $12.50 of equity for your time. That's that's how it's going. Tell the people about flockfantasy.com, and then we can send you on your way.
I showed the cool tool a couple times, but anytime you ever need to look up like any just basic stats, yards per route, I mean any like easy to view advanced stats like yards per route run, targets per snap, yada, yada, yada. Just go to flockfantasy.com. You can check it all out for free. Rankings page, just hit a drop down, click on any player. You can see anything you want. Player comparison, you can go through. And there's also like random stuff that you can do, like trade calculator, trade finder for dynasty leagues, for redraft leagues. But specifically, if you're just like in an underdog draft, and if you want to compare some players, the easiest thing you can do is just go hit the player comparison.
That's beautiful. We just started 2 dynasty auctions, like 2 dynasty auction leagues with YouTube members. And we're all doing this right now. And some of us are flying totally blind without auction values. So that is, it's probably a useful tool to be able to pull up the old dynasty trade calculator. And then you stream most nights. You stream late. You're streaming like 7 PM Central Time.
So it just depends. Like it would probably be best for me to come up with an exact schedule, but
yes,
reality, I just stream whatever time is most convenient for me that day, but I stream every single day just on the Flock Fantasy account.
There you go.
And probably would be best for me to set a time. I tried to do it this year. I try to do it every year. It lasts for a week, and then I go off the rails, and I'm like, it's 4 PM right now. I'm bored. I don't want to wait. I'm just going to stream, you know?
Yeah. Yep. I think that that happens to me every once in a while where I'll be like, okay, I scheduled the stream for 11 AM, but it's 10:15 and I'm done with whatever I had to do. So I'm just going to click the button now. All right, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Everyone check out flockfantasy.com. Subscribe to Mason's YouTube channel. I mean, he definitely needs that from me. And we'll try and get you back on one more time before the season starts if you have the time.
I appreciate it, my guy.
Take it easy, brother. Yeah. All right, boys. That was Mr. Mason Dodd. Sam is going to be joining us here in a moment. I really got to think about this Quentin Johnston thing because I'm pretty sure he's right, dude. I'm pretty sure he's right about the Quentin Johnston thing. And what I need to do is I need to run the historical filter Quentin Johnston, guys. Mr. Sherman is going to be with us here in a second, but I need to run a stat head filter. Oh, let me remember to label this. Mason, Shipper, bang. All right. I think I have been radicalized. Okay. Quentin Johnston's Quentin Johnston first 2 years, right? That's the better way to run it. So Quentin Johnston, his first 2 years in the NFL, 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. So we're going to do player season finder, find combined seasons, descending fantasy points. We'll go from 2010 to 2025, played wide receiver, statistical filter. We'll go receiving yards over 1,000, but less than 1,500. Right? I think that's a good way to do this comp. So in between 1,000 and 1,500 receiving yards, and we'll go receiving touchdowns more than 9, and we'll do biographical filter, year of player's career, first and second, and we'll do. Should we do first round pick? We'll do first round pick and then see what that looks like. Right? I think that's the best way to do it. Ooh, boy, you guys are not gonna like this list. It definitely makes Mr. Dodd look correct. I'll tell you what. All right, here we go. So this is a filter for combined seasons, 2010 to 2025. First and second seasons, played wide receiver in the regular season. Player is drafted in round 1, requiring receiving yards over 1,000, but also receiving yards under 1,500, receiving touchdowns greater than 9. Tom, I think Mason is correct. Look at this list, dude. So in 27 games, in 32 games, Quentin Johnston, I mean, it's like pretty similar to like Will Fuller, pretty similar to Hakeem Nicks, obviously, or actually not similar at all, because these guys were. I mean, Dotson is obviously the mega bear case, inverse size Dotson. Yeah, polar bear Dotson. What the heck is John? Okay, so the interesting thing here is that Brian Thomas and Hakeem Nicks did this in 1 season. Fuller's numbers are over 2 seasons. Bryant's numbers are over 2 seasons. He scored more touchdowns. Okay, now let's try and do it for just sophomore season. So let me rerun this filter for we'll do just second season, and we'll change it to receiving touchdowns over 5. We'll change it to receiving yards greater than 500, but less than 900. So maybe this will be different. Maybe there'll just be no one in this category. Oh, okay. All right. You guys might not like this one either. Because this is still pretty favorable to QJ. All right. So this is second season, played wide receiver, player was drafted in round 1, receiving yards over 500, less than 900, receiving touchdowns over 5. We've got Doxson, terrible. But you also have Brandon Ayuk, you have Kenny Britt, you have Mike Williams, you have Hollywood Brown, you have Calvin Ridley. Let's do yards per reception. So QJ yards per reception was poor comparatively. His yards per game was poor comparatively. His yards per target, better than Hollywood, better than Crabtree. Success rate was pretty poor. Just total PPR points. Better, dude. You got to hand it to him. I think, yeah, shout out to Kenny Britt. The people forget about Kenny Britt. You guys remember? You guys are all way too young to remember this. Where were you guys for the 2011 Kenny Britt season? 5 for 136 and 2, 9 for 135 and 1, ACL tear. Do you guys remember this? Where were you when Kenny Britt tore his ACL? My goodness, was that a time to be alive? No, this is not who's who of fell off. You're tripping. You are tripping. This is a good list of players to be on. Oh man. Guys, if you want to talk about someone who's ready to pump up Quentin Johnston while hating on Brock Bowers, we found him. I regret to inform you, Sam Sherman, that over the last hour I have been Quentin Johnston pilled.
Wow, how does that happen? You didn't see his playoff game against the Texans where he had like 10 targets and 4 drops. You missed that one?
Basically, you're just saying that Trey Harris immediately comes in and is starting over him. And also that Mike Williams starts, I think.
I actually think QJ, I have no strong lean one way or the other with QJ. He seems fine at what, like you said, pick 150 or something right now.
Yeah.
He was like a solid hit last year as a late round wide receiver, had some big games. I think his biggest game did it come in like week 18, maybe, when it didn't really matter. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's find out. I actually don't remember.
I think he had a massive big.
My God, he did. He had 13 for 186. I mean, I forgot that happened. I did not remember that happened. 4 for 18. I bet, by the way, for every reception of these games, I was so tilted. I bet I was just like, can get this Quentin Johnston shit off my screen. I guarantee you. I absolutely hated it. Boy, do I hope you have some terrible takes for us, man. Have you been in the lab? Have you been in the lab just like finding a way to FUD everyone's favorite players?
I have. I've been trying my best. Rashee Rice is one I've been working on most recently. But yeah, I mean, pretty much any good player I can come up with a pretty good bear case on if you want to test that out. But the elite tight ends one, Davis, that's one where I think actually, I hate to say it, it goes against my brand, but I think Bowers has fallen enough where I'm okay with elite tight end prices right now. I hate to say it, but
the thing with Bowers is like, if you want to argue with like math and projections or whatever, I'm like, I'm not even going to argue back with you. I'm just going to say, wow, we got a 101. There we go.
Nice.
You'll love to see it.
There you go.
I think you could do as much as you want of arguing facts and logic and mathematics with Brock Bowers. I just want everyone to know that the last time a 22-year-old tight end had 1,200 yards and 5 tuds, it was Rob Gronkowski. So I said this earlier to someone. I actually have a Brock Bowers video coming out this weekend on the channel. And honestly, just like vibes based, I just think that Gronk, and Bowers are like very similar. They get there in different ways. Gronk a way better touchdown scorer, but I think they're going to be very similar fantasy forces. Like when they're on the field, they're just going to score. This, by the way, I mean, actually cannot be more tilted about this current bit you have going on where you're like, actually, it's bad to have tight end eligibility and score all these points. You're tilting me out of my absolute mind with this. But like, I just think Bowers can just be the story of the season is all that it is.
I don't think that's crazy. I mean, it is undeniably a historic rookie season for a tight end. I mean, people love to talk about the Kyle Pitts 1,000-yard rookie season. This completely blew that out of the water for sure with the number of receptions and yardage she was piling up. So like everything in fantasy football, like the real stealing outcomes, especially when we're talking half PPR, they're going to come down to touchdowns. So I guess it's a matter of how much you're buying into the.
No, it's literally just a matter of, does he score 5 touchdowns again, or does he absolutely just murder your face with 14? Because players that are that good, that get the ball that often, he was 4th in the entire NFL in yak. Like, you want to talk about a guy who ruins your season if you fade him and he scores 14 touchdowns? It's Brock Bowers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my only thing with Bowers is like when he was going pick 12, whatever, pick 13, when you have to take him over, say, a Nico Collins, a AJ Brown, a Drake London, like that's where I have more of a problem with it. Even Lad McConkey, Devon Achane going down a little bit further. Now that he's slid past all those guys, I think that's the right price. Where like now, I think he is. If you look at projections, he's projecting like the same as the wide receivers going near him. Maybe a little bit worse than the running backs, to be honest. But I think like the problem I have with the elite tight end thing is that I think if you're pushing up a tight end that projects worse than the
because they're tight end eligible.
Yeah, because they're tight end eligible. If that's your only reason, then I actually don't quite agree with that. But now he probably projects better than the wide receivers that are going behind him now. At least it's like quite close. So I think it's a totally fair price for Bowers. Like at what is he, pick 19 now? He keeps sliding like every day.
He literally keeps sliding. He just went at pick 19 in the one that I just did with Mason. This one is relatively slappy. There are a bunch of names I recognize in this one, so he probably will go a smidgen. Like when you can kind of take the temperature of the room based on what they all think about, the further left leaning you are on the left wing slappy spectrum, the more you're likely to take Bowers ahead of ADP. Although I will say, very interesting confluence, horseshoe theory. There is no more right wing slappy player than Geno Smith. I mean, Geno Smith is like dudes who think they know ball love to tell you actually Geno Smith is great and has really been let down by his teammates and his coaches.
That's true,
Mr.
You could
CPOE himself.
Yeah, and you can tack on a white slot receiver with Geno Smith. That's even more right wing slappy there with Jack Bash. Although I don't know if Bash is right or left wing slappy. He's kind of got supporters on both sides, I feel like.
I was gonna say he's another there's fine people on both sides player.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry at 14, so we might have found ourselves in a right wing slappy room.
Saquon at 7. I don't think I've seen that yet either this year.
Once the seal got broke that Jefferson officially goes ahead of him in ADP, I've seen the first round go in like any order. Like after that happens, it's just total like Gibbs, Bijan, Lamb, McCaffrey, Barkley, Puka, St. Brown, and Neighbors. I've seen go in like every configuration of that order, honestly.
Yeah, it does seem after Chase, it's a pretty flat like 2 through 8 or whatever this year. So
there you go. Bijan in the left wing slappiest of contests. Bijan passed Saquon. All right, what do you want to do here? JT feels like an absolute jam button.
Yeah, I like JT for sure. I feel like last time we were on, we did the McBride Chase thing.
Yeah.
So we could do that again if we wanted to mix it up and like go with maybe a different build. I do like Jacobs enough here at this turn. You could also do Chase Brown if you're more into that, but
no, I'll tell you, so to make, no, you know what? Let's do this. And let's do that for one key reason, which is that, you know what happens all the time over on this nonsense left side of the board is just the most giga slap zero running back build, like Jaylen Warren is your running back one ass combos. Because if Hampton goes at 47 or 46 or whatever, first up, no Slappy is dragging up Chuba Hubbard to the 48, 49. Then the running backs at 72, 73 are also pretty bad. So you do end up with a lot of like, oh, Quinshon Judkins is my running back one on this team type build. So I think we try and punish the Slappies. The issue is this dude right here, Jodis, he is going to just absolutely jam the button on Joe Burrow at 71.
So we're not going to get Burrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless I guess he takes like a Jalen Hurts or a falling Jaden Daniels or something. That's probably our only out there.
That's our only out, and it feels unlikely at best.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to think. Yeah, I think we just have to be careful with our wide receiver picks now, making sure we're not taking guys like Zay Flowers that we can't stack with, because yeah, good point. I think we're unlikely to be able to stack Chase here coming up.
Yes.
What is your take on Taylor? I'm curious. I feel like he's kind of an under-discussed guy this year in fantasy in terms of the first two rounds. I'm pretty like neutral on him, to be honest. I don't know if you have any big leans one way or the other on Taylor.
Started out negative on him when he was like at 18, like when he was going ahead of Bowers or split with Bowers. But now that he is routinely going after Bucky Irving, after Rashee Rice, after T. Higgins, like I can't imagine a more obviously good pick than that. He's not going to catch any passes. The team is not going to be particularly good. But if you want a dude who is going to get 22 rushes in any game that he's active and healthy for, you got it. And it's like, all fantasy football is just trying to, you're increasing your surface area of luck. I mean, no better way to increase your surface area of luck than getting 22 chances to break an 80-yard touchdown. That's like his whole, I mean, he was the guy you needed last year because he happened to break enough long runs. He's like perfectly suited for half PPR scoring with no bonuses.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of those guys where like it sounds like nitpicky, but I kind of am with you. Like when he's near the 1-2 turn, and that's where he was last year, I was kind of out. Debatable whether that was right or wrong, to be honest. He was like a huge bust for a huge part of the year and then had that massive
He
week
just
17.
doesn't have that extreme ceiling because he doesn't catch passes. Like we just have a big enough sample with this guy. Like what he played with Minshew into this will be looking up trivia that I don't know the answer to. But he played with Gardner Minshew and Joe Flacco and stuff. He's been in the NFL for 5 seasons, and he's got his max in a season is 40 receptions, never more than 2 receiving touchdowns. Last 3 seasons combined, he has under 500 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. It's just not what he does.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Under like 150 receiving yards in 3 straight seasons, basically. But yeah, I mean, the thing with Taylor is like every touch is a high value touch when you're a guy who can take it 80 yards to the house. He doesn't need as massive of a workload and in terms of like receiving goal line stuff compared to the typical back to pay off.
Yeah. All right. We're at the turn. What do you want to do?
I like the Metcalf pick by ADP. That sets us up with a stack. I guess, wait, is Hurts available? I guess Devonta's Hurts would be the only other. No, he's gone.
Hurts is gone.
Let's think on Metcalf.
Sutton sets us up with a quarterback. Pickens sets us up with a quarterback. Waddle sets us up with a quarterback. Ridley sets us up with a quarterback.
Yeah, let's see here. I like Waddle. Maybe we try to play into the Johnny trade a little bit here. I bet Waddle probably continues to rise past this ADP.
He's a lock to be a riser.
Yeah. I kind of get sometimes to this like 4 or 5 turn at wide receiver, and I'm kind of like ambiguous to Waddle, Metcalf, Pickens.
They're all
yeah,
they're wide receivers, dude. They're all the same.
yeah, but
Let's
Waddle
just
is
be-
like,
Let's just be
yeah.
real about it.
Yeah. Waddle's such a weird one because his drop off last year was so massive, but like there's no structural reason. Like with Tyreek, for example, like I've heard a lot of people compare like the Tyreek and Jaylen Waddle drop offs. And I think it's interesting because I do think on one end, like Tyreek's drop off is being much more criticized than Waddle is. But at the same time, like I think we have a right to be more concerned when an aging player has a pretty drastic drop off. For someone like Waddle, like he's still squarely in his prime from an age perspective. Like I'm way more willing to chalk up his drop off to just like a fluky situation with the quarterback play, with the injury. Like there's no reason he should be like winding down towards the sunset of his career at what, 27 years old or whatever it is. So
I mean, dude, 2.52 to 1.53 yards per route run drop off as a 24-year-old is crazy. 25-year-old.
Yeah. I just think it's going to be like, remember that randomly bad, like DeAndre Hopkins season in the middle of his career with like those garbage quarterbacks. I forget who it was now. It wasn't Davis Mills, but it was a Davis Mills adjacent quarterback. Like, I feel like we're going to look back on this season for Waddle similar to that. Just kind of like.
That's actually crazy. A random year 4 too. A random 1.58, which interrupted 2.27, 2.27, 2.39, 2.35, 2.01, 2.02.
Yeah.
the 2016 Houston Texans. Who could this possibly be?
Oh man, I wish I could. This would be a good poll if I could think of it.
It wasn't. You're right. Oh my God, worse than you can remember, dude. It was Brock Osweiler.
Osweiler, that's who it was. Yeah.
Oh, Lamar Miller, starting running back. Tom Savage, prominently involved. Ooh, CJ Fedorowicz.
That's a throwback.
Look, man, you cannot watch my YouTube channel if you don't remember CJ Fedorowicz.
Mm-hmm.
This is my official party line. I forgive everyone involved with the 2024 Dolphins. I forgive Tyreek. I absolve him of his sins. Jaylen Waddle, Devin Achane. I've even forgiven Jalen Wright, Tua, Mike McDaniel, just everyone. It's just everyone was bad at their jobs, but I'm giving you clemency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming around to that more and more. Tyreek is honestly the one I struggle with, but I've kind of come around to like, I get it. Like, I get why you would still take him. He's not that far removed from being the best fantasy wide receiver, basically 2 years in a row prior to this year. So, yeah, it's just I don't know, man. Something about Tyreek just always scares me with all the off-field stuff. Like, I always have the Antonio Brown risk in the back of my mind, but he should be fine for another season. It's probably
Tyreek is a different category because I think Antonio Brown seems to suffer from like real mental illness and like CTE, and Tyreek just seems like like he gets enjoyment out of like shocking people and being a wild boy, but I don't think Tyreek Hill. I've recently learned this, like kind of like over like the last 6 months. Like, are you aware of like streaming culture, like Kai Cenat and these types of people?
I've seen that guy like come up on Twitter, but I don't really understand.
I have no idea what any of this stuff is, but this is just like how adult men behave now. Like if you're really online, and like Tyreek just seems really in line with that culture. Yeah. So I think he just like really enjoys getting a rise out of people. And is not like actually unwell the way Antonio Brown is. Is my read.
Yeah.
So could be wrong, but that is my current. Yes, as Nick says, he's living life as like a clip farmer. He's trying to optimize his life performance for like Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
Which to be fair, that's its own mental illness, Sam. That's its own mental illness.
It is. But
he did what he did. He beat a bunch of other Olympian qualifiers in the 100-yard dash the other day, didn't he?
Yeah, I saw that. So he hasn't lost the speed. I do think sometimes like we conflate the like, oh, he's still really fat. Like I don't know. This is a deep cut, but do you remember when Dalvin Cook was really washed? But people were like, oh, but he still had the second fastest ball carrier time of the 2022
I do.
season.
Yes, I do.
And that
I do
was like the
remember
bull
that.
case heading into the next year. It's like he's still got the speed, but I just think speed isn't like raw speed isn't always everything. So Burrow goes. That was predictable.
That was obvious. We knew that was coming. I'm a big Golden bro.
Okay, I like Golden too, and then Judy sets up the week 17 Steelers Brown stack, which you gotta hammer that one. But I'm good with Golden first year with Josh Jacobs. If you want to start with that one,
you know what?
What do
We
you
have
think?
Jonathan Taylor. We have Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. We are good at running back. Let's do Judy. Right?
Yeah. Are you interested in Johnson there? That is interesting. If
I mean, I love Kaleb Johnson. I think you know what? Let's draft a boomer team. I was gonna say let's just draft a bona fide boomer team. Do need to make a real point here, which is I think Tyreek probably is a bad guy, but I think he is different of a bad guy than Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown is a bad guy who is like divorced from reality.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I first off, I am stunned that you like Matthew Golden. No one seems less of a Matthew Golden guy than Sam Sherman. So why do you like Matthew Golden?
I like him just first round pick in ambiguous wide receiver room. I think some of these other guys like Jaden Reed, Dobbs, etc., they can play, but the Packers clearly went into the offseason with like a goal of, hey, we have to acquire like a new wide receiver one. Josh Jacobs, who was also on this team, was saying that. So I know his like metrics coming into this year are like a little spotty from college. I'm willing to like look past that, just given how strong the team situation is, how strong the draft capital is, and just like if he's good, there's no wide receiver in this room that's like gonna prevent him from breaking out and having a huge target share. So yeah, that's the main thing. I also just like I'm a Packers guy. I'm a LaFleur guy. I know last year things got a little weird with the Jordan Love injury. It wasn't perfect, but like I'll run back a bet on the Packers being one of the top offenses in the NFL again. I just feel good about the coaching and situation there.
They start their season in Brazil with their quarterback damaging his MCL. He returns from his MCL injury, has his best statistical game of the season, but plays like by far his worst game of the season against the Minnesota Vikings. Had like 350 and 4. It was the 2-touchdown Dontavian Wicks game. I think Matt LaFleur looked at his offense and was like, this ain't gonna work. Like Jordan Love can't drop back effectively, so we are going to run the ball and play defense for the rest of the year, and we will try it again. We'll run it back next year. We'll do something different. I don't think there's like, it's got to be the biggest canary in the coal mine ever that they spend a first round pick on a wide receiver for the first time since like Gerald Ford was president. And then they take another wide receiver in the third round. That's got to just be them saying it's evident that they want to throw the ball more, and evident that they're sick of having a bunch of wide receiver fours. Like no one has a better group of wide receiver, like Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and the other guy I'm forgetting were like such obvious wide receiver. Like remember Bo Melton?
Melton, yeah. I might have touted Bo Melton.
I was gonna say I might have participated. It might be we're all looking for this guy situation here. I might be wearing the hot dog suit, but this is actually crazy. Guess how many games Jaden Reed last year had more than 6 targets?
I saw this on Twitter today. It was one, right?
It's once.
Yeah. It's nuts. I mean, that's the thing with Reed is like everyone loves, like I think he's firmly left wing slappy. Everyone loves like the metrics, which on a per route basis are certainly good, but 21%
is the greatest trick the devil ever pulled, creating per route stats.
Yeah, yeah, especially for guys like Jaden Reed who just like you got to cut all the per route stats by 70% because that's how often he's actually on the field. So
it should be mandatory that when you cite a per route stat, you also at the same time have to cite the percentage of routes they run.
Yeah, there should be a law about that. Otherwise, I mean, you can talk about Kevontae Turpin, yards per route run, Kadarius Toney targets per route run. That's always a good one.
Please don't bring up a guy I actually like. But the number one guy to lie about it with is Marvin Mims. I mean, Marvin Mims is like a per route absolute god. But
I mean, because he's taking like 30% of his snaps from like the backfield for like design screens and shit like that. So that's one of the faker ones of all time.
Yeah. Okay. We've got,
what do we got here?
Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Caleb Johnson. We got sniped on Chase. So we've got Rodgers, Tua, and Love all live, which I like. Been noticing Hawkinson falling as a regional Patriots fan. What's our temperature on Diggs, Kyle Williams, Demario Douglas?
I feel like pretty good about Diggs at cost. I mean, the fact that he's on the field and healthy, and I think you're getting like a pretty big injury discount with him. So I feel good about him. I'm not like smashing Diggs, but I feel like he's a fine pick when you get boxed out. Okay, let's see what we got here.
Brutal Pittman. We got like Jaden Higgins, who I think is a smash. None of these quarterbacks make any sense for us. I have a feeling like deep inside of you that you want to make a pro Keon Coleman argument. Higgins gives us Stroud.
Yeah, let's do Higgins. We're not doing Jaylen Warren. I don't think we really want a running back here. I would throw out Fields. I'm fine with Fields unstacked in this type of situation.
Look how far Sam has come. We used to be like the big Fields fudders. No, you're right. Our quarterbacks are going to suck on this team regardless. We're probably going to take 3. I would toss out Fields, Andrews, or Evan Ingram.
I like Fields here because I think we'll stack up some boring pocket passers later and then get the kind of uncorrelated rushing upside with Fields. Maybe we can tack on Mason Taylor or something. Yeah, I mean, I was one of the biggest Fields haters of all time last year. But I mean, I'm not really worried about his job security. Not that like I feel like we always like overrate job security a little bit. Like if a guy just completely sucks, he's gonna get benched. Like that's what happened with Bryce Young last year for a bit, Anthony Richardson last year. Like those were guys going into the year that were like, oh, there's no chance Anthony Richardson's gonna get benched for Joe Flacco. I mean, shit, if you're just really playing bad, you can get benched. That said, I don't think Justin Fields has any like uniquely strong bench risk in the situation. His rushing upside is fairly proven. So I think he's pretty good at pick 100-ish this year.
I mean, it's like certainly possible that he finishes quarterback 3 on the year. I mean, he's actually done that once. He's actually been the quarterback 3 before. He's got to hit a nice trifecta of things. Like he's got to limit the turnovers. He's got to score a bunch of long rushing touchdowns, and he's got to really hope that the collegiate best friend narrative with his boy Garrett Wilson holds.
Yeah. I'm pretty skeptical on the Wilson thing, to be honest, but not that they can't have a good connection. Sorry, I'm skeptical that Wilson can be like a big win at ADP, but like. I think he can be a very good player.
I think he can be. I think he can be a pretty big win, which is that he turns from being a PPR scam merchant, which is what he's basically been in his career, to he turns into a touchdown merchant, a la Devontae Adams, a la DJ Moore in 2023. I mean, that's just like that. It's just provably the thing that has to happen. DJ Moore in 2023, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. One of them was a rushing touchdown. But DJ Moore went from having 1 year. Well, actually, that's not fair. He was a little bit better than I remembered in Carolina, but he went from being a 1,200-yard player to a 1,400-yard player, which is kind of really all that you have to do to. It's so funny how fantasy works. You actually make this point quite often. I should compliment you for this, but basically, no one matters in fantasy. You know, there's about 40 guys. There are about 40 guys who are on the good side of average, and then 40 guys who are on the bad side of average, and then 5 guys who absolutely define the season.
Yeah.
And all you kind of have to do to go from being on the good side of average to one of the guys who defines the season is go from your 80 catches and 1,100 yards to 85 catches and 1,400 yards and 4 touchdowns to 9 touchdowns. And like, dude, Garrett Wilson, you know, as my boy, This Is Fine says, you just got to run really hot on big passing plays with Justin Fields. It really shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. I mean,
totally,
I think
totally simple.
The bull case, it's just an easy game. But I mean, I do get the bull case too of like, I mean, their wide receiver 2 right now is literally Josh Reynolds. I do think it's like a little bit of a be careful what you wish for situation. Like when the wide receiver 2 is so bad, and also bad in a way that he's not like clearing out space for the offense, I do worry a little bit of like how compressed and kind of constipated this Jets offense can get.
You make a good point, which is that when it's so bad, when it's a guy who can't earn a target in a high school football game, it's like, well, then the offense is just going to be brutal. Like if it's that bad, it's bad for everyone.
Yeah, like this team is desperate for like an MVS or like, I don't know, a Justin Watson, like not trying to do a bit here, but like
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, but that I think that runs into the same problem of like, what is Keenan Allen helping out other players on the field? I mean, I'm sure he's better than whoever their wide receiver 3 is right now, so it literally can't get worse. But I think they need some speed.
Yeah, well, that's why they drafted Arian Smith.
Yeah, I guess so.
Worst. I actually very rarely is there a draft pick on day 3 that's so bad that I'm like, well, that what? But that was one where I was like, I didn't even have this guy's draftable in my stuff. Like, just like a total like he to me is the same as Keandre Lambert Smith, basically. All right. We are about to be up.
This is like where I love
really obvious pick.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Don't get auto draft. He's about okay. He didn't. I think we definitely take Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest double tapping Njoku and Warren. I would honestly be okay with reaching for is like Loveland still here. I don't know if you're a Loveland guy. He's not going to come back to us, I don't think.
No, I think he might. The people hate Loveland right now.
Okay, what about, do we consider Jordan Love here, or do
I was going to say
Tucker Kraft?
I was going to say we take Kraft, and that increases the odds that Love comes back to us.
Yeah, I like Kraft here too. I think that's probably smarter than double tapping rookies, is getting a little balance in the tight end room anyways. So.
Double tapping 2 rookie tight ends ahead. I mean, Love probably won't come back to us, but he could. But we still have, like, Stroud could come back to us. Tua will come back to us. Rodgers. And actually, just like playing this in reverse, the Fields thing was feels extra smart now because it just bought us flexibility with that pick.
Yeah, we would have been forced to reach for Love or someone there, Stroud maybe. So I like that. Yeah, I really like this range of tight ends like Njoku, Warren, Kraft, Loveland, even like likely going a bit later. I love coming out of like rounds 10 through 12 with like two of those guys. I think other people have made this point. I think Hayden Winks had a great chart on it, but like you look at the projections of the tight ends versus the running backs and wide receivers in this range, and they're just straight up projected to outscore that group by quite a bit. Like you look at like Loveland versus Luther Burden, for instance. Loveland's projected way better. Kraft versus like, I don't know, Marvin Mims. Kraft is going to be projected for much more points. So it's just like, it's nice when you can kind of win the flex in a sense with these selections. Like you're not sacrificing points at all and getting pretty good upside bets. Like these are young players. with some upside, like I think they're pretty fun picks.
Yeah, the range where the tight ends start to outproject the wide receivers is kind of, yes, like Njoku has a better half-point PPR projection than Jaden Reed. I mean, it's Jacob actually just wrote a great post about this on Thinking About Thinking, but like the market still is kind of losing their mind about wide receivers.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like they learned a little bit, but not really. Like, how much did you learn your lesson if Kyle Williams is the wide receiver 59? How much did you really learn your lesson if Jacoby Myers is pick 69? How much did you really learn your lesson if a defensive back is a 5th round pick? Like, I don't think you've really learned your lesson.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, the thing is, like, I agree with the point that, like, you can't try to completely ignore the market, even though, like, the funny thing is, the advanced rate data says you actually could completely ignore wide receiver and do okay last year. I think from like a upside and playoff perspective, you still got to like take wide receivers. You can't ignore it, even though they're all collectively overpriced. I do think you can like kind of be right on that edge though, where you're taking like 3 wide receivers through 6 or 7 rounds, like 4 or 5 through 10. Make sure you still get a couple like elite ones, right? But just like really hammer the other positions. And I think like you can still kind of get away with like a contrarian build with this ADP landscape. I think like the mistake is when wide receivers are this high, just going like, I don't know, 5 wide receivers through 6, like stuff like that worked historically in the past, I think is like pretty tough in this ADP landscape with how priced up they are.
Yeah, Leone and Hayden have made this point, Leone and Jacob have made this point, which is that you used to be able to draft archetypes and just win. So you used to be able to just draft like the Emeka Egbuka archetype. I forget who was making the point, but Garrett Wilson was a 1st-round wide receiver his rookie year and win at like wide receiver 59 or something. Like it used to just be that simple in print. And now Jordan Love goes, but the field is hip enough. The prices are adjusted enough that you actually like, it's kind of like any game. You just have to become more discerning. You can't just blindly print. Like I think Jack Besh is a good example of like, well, actually the market is becoming too discerning with Jack Besh and losing the plot a little bit. But like Egbuka is a very good example. Like he's the clear wide receiver 4 opening week. Yeah, damn, and Loveland went. But like still being drafted in the 90s. All right, we are about to be back up. I think we take 1 running back, 1 quarterback here. Yeah,
I agree. I was going to say,
I'm open to whatever.
I'm pretty good with it's a very slight reach on Tua. I say we just do it to lock up the stack. I don't think there's a point in getting cute there. And then
there is no reaching in the 13th round.
Yeah.
I mean, Guerendo, my new rule is I'm taking 1 49ers running back like every time, whether it be CMC, Guerendo, or Jordan James. I think that it's just like they have the easiest schedule. CMC, like obvious health risk, maybe health risk to the point that Guerendo actually has some standalone value. But Algiers there, Rashad White's there, Dubs is there if we want another Packer. I'm open.
I'm good with Guerendo. I mean, the only thing I was thinking through, like, does the Tampa Bay Miami Week 17 push us towards Rashad White? I like Guerendo better in a vacuum, probably. So yeah, I'm good with that.
That kind of granularity with the game stacks to me, that was like so 2023.
Like Ertz Algier correlation.
Ertz Algier was actually 2022, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's probably right.
That degree of granularity I think is good, and you can even see it was the top pick in the sidekick as well. But I am, particularly after last year and my experiences with portfolio exposures there, I think the power law players, shout out Scott Barrett, are just so much more important. right? Like any kind of little minute, butterfly effect type thing. Like all things being equal, like if Rachaad White and Isaac Urendo both, if I knew they were both going to score exactly 167 PPR points this year, I would take Rachaad White on this team over Urendo because of that week 17. But because I think the ceiling stuff for Urendo is so much more obvious in his favor than in Rachaad White's, like the what do you win when you win with Urendo is like, well, he's the guy you had to have. He's the Bucky Irving of this year or whatever. I don't know. How are you thinking about the week 17 stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm generally with you. It's not like, especially something like quarterback versus opposing running back correlation. Like those don't have massive correlations. Like if it's wide receiver, opposing quarterback, that's a bigger deal for me. Now with Rachaad White, you can make the case like maybe correlationally you should treat him as a wide receiver almost because he gets his value from receptions.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it there, but I'm with you. I feel like it was a toss up. Honestly, I think the bigger decision, which I wasn't thinking about, but reflecting on it now, like looking at the archetypes of running backs we have so far, we have pretty solid production already. Like we really want an upside swing. If we had a kind of more of a zero running back room and just needed like more usable weeks, I think Rachaad White is the better pick for like usable weeks. But I think the true like weekly ceiling upside certainly lands with Urendo more so than Rachaad White. So I think that's the type of bet we were going for at this point.
Yeah, I think you are directionally accurate. Is anyone accounting for CMC's 20% target share this year that wasn't there last year in San Francisco? Well, Ricky Pearsall turning into Ricky Pearsall. It's so funny. And I am pro Ricky Pearsall. I have a lot of Ricky Pearsall, whatever. But no one really wants to discuss the fact that he had 6 straight games with max 1 reception. Like there was a 6-game stretch where he had four receptions as a starter. This was not bit. He was out there earning no ass targets, right? Like,
yeah,
I bet QJ didn't have a run that bad as a rookie. I bet there's no chance he did.
Yeah, it was bad, and it was like weird too because it was like he came back and immediately like had a pretty good game. So I was like, oh, this is
pretty
interesting.
Good game.
Yeah, or at least had a stretch of 5 targets, 4 targets, 6 targets as like a part-time player. I remember looking at his like per route stuff. Week 10, he went 4 for 73 on 6 targets. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, sorry, we're on the clock here. Do we just go and get Rodgers? I mean, we're kind of screwed at quarterback 3 if we don't.
No, you're so right. Good lesson for everyone to learn, which is how tilted are you going to be to not have a third quarterback when Justin Fields and Tua Tagovailoa are your 2 quarterbacks? And then how much does taking Rico Dowdle instead of Justice Hill get you? I do think we need a wide receiver.
Okay.
I think Chase obviously earns us a lot, so we're really only trying to fill that wide receiver 3 slot because hopefully on this team we're getting a running back on our flex. Douglas, Knoll, Pierce, Wilson. I don't really care. Do you have a favorite?
I'm good with Douglas here. He's a guy I'm kind of warming up to a little bit. Again, he's certainly not like a big upside swing. I think maybe our next wide receiver pick we can probably have room to go for a bigger swing. But yeah, he's just like probably going to be on the field quite a bit. It's an offense that we expect to be a lot better. It's still just like such a bad wide receiver room that even if Diggs is good, even if like Kyle Williams is good, I think there's still room for Douglas out there. So yeah, not the most inspiring pick, but I think a fine one in round 15.
It's Wan'Dale Robinson ass.
Yeah,
pick.
It is.
The people want to remind us that Ricky Pearsall did get shot. They are wanting
that.
What I'm telling you guys is that I'm fully aware that Ricky Pearsall got shot, and I'm giving him to some degree a pass for getting shot. But his first game back, he got shot. His first game back, he plays 76% of the offensive snaps. He has 3 receptions for 21 yards. His 4 receptions for 38 yards the next game against Dallas on 58% of the snaps. He goes 4 for 73 and 1 against Tampa Bay on 64% of the snaps. Nothing changes with his playing time. Same amount of routes, everything. He's even returning punts. He goes 0-0-0 against Seattle, 0-0-0 against Green Bay, 1 target, 0 reception, 0 yards against Buffalo. Again, still playing the same amount of snaps. 1 reception for 5 yards against Chicago, 4 targets, 1 reception, 16 yards against the Rams, 4 receptions for 37 yards against Miami, then has the blow-up game in the meaningless game against Detroit, and then 6 for 69 and 1 for a game that I think mattered for neither team against Arizona. Josh Dobbs started that game. It just to be clear, it was absolutely meaningless for both teams. The Detroit San Francisco game was entirely meaningless.
Yeah.
Detroit was not trying very explicitly. Detroit, right? Wasn't that the whole deal? Was that neither team needed to try due to the weirdness of the NFC stuff?
I think so, but did Campbell still play his guys for a
everyone
good chunk of the game?
played their guys, but there's just no I'm sorry, there's just no way that game 34-40, like total weirdness. It was not full mental focus by either team. I don't buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I think with like the 49ers stuff, Pearsall is one I've had a tough time getting to. I ultimately think like I don't want to be fading him because I just think anybody with like an ounce of talent, Kyle Shanahan can scheme into being like a really strong player. Not that these other guys aren't individually talented, but like Juwan Jennings, not a guy we would have expected in year 5 to have like a massive ceiling. Like probably is a good NFL player, but not like an elite one. And he showed an awesome like ceiling and consistency in the offense. So I'm willing to like give a pass on Pearsall a bit for that stretch.
I'm totally willing to give him a pass.
Yeah.
But if it turns out that Ricky Pearsall is giga ass, I just am in no way going to be surprised. It's like all the signs were there. I think.
What do you think about the Darren Waller thing here?
Oh, say less, dude. We could take Mason Taylor. The other thing is Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor.
I bet Waller's already gone.
Is he already gone? Oh man, Waller versus. All right, let's do Sanders first, and then think about this one.
I'm trying to think. Does Miles Sanders make sense on this team, or do we need more of a moonshot? Well, it's too late. Already took him.
Yeah.
You tell me, brother.
Man. Let's go with. I haven't taken Darren Waller yet this year. I kind of want to do it just for fun. It's anyone who can like confidently tell you what Darren Waller has left is lying. I guess no
one knows.
Yeah, but he was fine last year when he played for or not last year, sorry, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Retired last year. He was fine on that Giants team. Tight end is a weird position where older dudes who are seemingly washed can just like walk into random volume and be good. I don't know. I've always been a Waller fan, so I think it's a bit of like my personal bias, but I think it's a decent late round pick.
I haven't taken Darren Waller yet. I just kind of on someone else's account. It will make you happy to know that me, Pete, Pat, and Jacob did just happen to be on the clock in an FFPC main event slow at like literally the minute that Darren Waller was announced as a Miami Dolphin.
Oh, nice.
And me, Pat, and Jacob immediately is the 16th round, and we all immediately said, there's never been a more obvious pick in the history of fantasy football than taking Darren Waller here. Like if you force me to choose, I definitely am saying like tight end is such a shitty, bad, hard position to hit on a real league winner. Like, isn't he just a favorite to be more impactful for fantasy football than Cade Otton or Dalton Schultz?
I think so, especially because like his big weakness is that he can't block or doesn't want to block. Johnny Smith also can't block and they made that work last year. Like, I think they're basically going to treat him as like a big slot wide receiver on the field. I think he is, if he's like what he was when he left the NFL 2 years ago, I think he's certainly a favorite to beat those guys. So the other thing I wanted to point out, I don't know if you've done your own research here, Davis, but Darren Waller competed in some kind of strength competition against
the High Rocks, which is like a big CrossFit thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, apparently Hayden Wink's younger brother did better than him. So I really need to see a picture of what Hayden Wink's younger brother looks like, because that could be really bad news, or it could not mean anything. But I gotta find some information.
Well, there. CrossFit is there are a lot of different types of people that can be successful at CrossFit. Like, people who do CrossFit can be like, look like they're built out of like granite.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable, or like chunky, like the dude at your gym who's like balding and is like sweating through his gray t-shirt might be like awesome. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't necessarily mean you're jacked. It really doesn't.
Okay.
A wide variety of people. I mean, I'll tell you this. It's certainly more bullish that Darren Waller just nationally placed at a CrossFit event than this dude just rolled off the couch from eating donuts and is only doing it because he owes Kelsey Plum alimony.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's got to fund his the next producer for his next rap song.
If anything, it's he's at least conditioned enough to run, I would guess.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Irrelevant here. Probably a wide receiver, right?
3, 5, 6, 3. Our running backs are quite strong, including a nice 4 points week 1 and then 16 consecutive zeros for Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders' most obvious, terrible, slappy pick, like literally in world history. It's like so obviously bad. I like Elijah Moore as a late wide receiver. I like Malik Washington.
Okay. Well, Washington's interesting if we want to play into the Miami.
Who's the grossest wide receiver you can talk yourself into?
Josh Reynolds would be if you want a Sam Sherman pick, it'd be Josh Reynolds. Hey man, Schefter tweeted about him.
Schefter tweeted it.
Yeah. He wrote an article. I don't know if you saw this article. It was like all the camp OTA risers.
I did because Brashard Smith was the Chiefs one.
Yeah, I saw you posted that one, but you didn't want to post the Josh Reynolds one. That is curious.
Man, it is so not like me to propagandize camp coverage for my own needs, wants, and opinions. It's very unlikely.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, this is what we drafted. Let me pull it up here. This was my 52nd Best Ball Mania team. We drafted Justin Fields ahead of ADP, Tua ahead of ADP, and Aaron Rodgers ahead of ADP.
Got to do it.
3 quarterback meta. This is a boomer ass running back room. Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Caleb Johnson, Isaac Urendo, Miles Sanders. This is FFPC boomer. Like they are loving this. Jamar Chase, Metcalf with Rodgers, Waddle with Tua, Golden, Higgins, Douglas, Malik Washington with Tua, Tyler Warren, Tucker Kraft, Darren Waller also with Tua. So all of our players, all of our quarterbacks, double stacked, no stack for Justin Fields. So we're hoping he runs for 100, just full Kaepernick's week 17 with 180 rushing yards.
Yeah, Justin Fields, the rare quarterback that's inversely correlated with his teammates, I think. So
honestly, though, he actually might be.
It can't be that strong of a correlation with his pass catchers. His ceiling games are almost always rushing. Yeah. So
yeah. All right, everyone. There we go. That is one Mr. Sam Sherman. I'm going to bring him back this offseason as many times as he will let me. Make sure that you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for daily fantasy football videos.